Bruins, Revs, and Patriots.
Touchdown, Patriots!
Boston's home for sports is 98.5 The Sports Hub. Easily Media Group Station. Sports Hub headlines.
Final regular season game for the Celtics this afternoon as they host the Washington Wizards. Mayor Michelle Wu declared today Mike Gorman Day in Boston. Pre-game starts at 12:30 here on the BetMGM 98.5 The Sports Hub Celtics Radio Network. Red Sox even their series against the Angels yesterday afternoon, beating Los Angeles 7-2. Tristan Casas contributed with a big two-run shot. Series wraps later today. First pitch set for 1:35. The Bruins took the win over the Penguins last night, 6-4. The Bees sit atop the Atlantic Division with 2 regular season games remaining. Heading into the final round of the Masters, Scotty Scheffler sits atop the leaderboard. He's 7 under. Colin Morikawa is a stroke behind at 6 under. And Max Homa trails in third. UFC 300 last night, Alex Pereira beat Jamal Hill to retain his light heavyweight title, but Max Holloway stole the show with a flashy knockout victory over Justin Gaethje. And in NCAA hockey, the University of Denver won the national championship, shutting out Boston College 2-0. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Safety Insurance, providing comprehensive coverage for your auto, home, and business. Ask your independent agent about safety. I'm Ryan Beaton on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update, 9 o'clock.
This is Kristaps Porzingis.
Left-hand dribble, lobs it. Porzingis catches with one hand and throws it down.
You're listening to the home of Boston Celtics basketball. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
This is Sunday Kickoff with Alex Barth and Cerrone Battle.
We hit, we win. We put pressure, we win. We penetrate, we win.
Getting you ready for a long day of football coverage. The Pats, league news, betting lines, and game odds. Sunday Kickoff on 98.5 The Sports Hub has it covered. Here are Alex Barth and Cerrone Battle.
Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff here, April 14th. From the Town Fair Tire Studio, Alex Barth, Cerrone Battle. 2 weeks, Cerrone. 2 weeks. We got this show. We got another show. And then we'll have the season finale the Sunday after the draft. So, you itching? You feeling it yet?
Yeah, it should be. It's going to be real interesting, man, in 2 weeks.
And
phone lines are going to be lit before we even say anything.
well, if you want to get the phone lines going today, 617-779-0985, and that actually kind of leads me what I wanted to open with. Obviously, we've touched on other parts of the offseason throughout the offseason, but it's May. This has been a pretty draft-heavy show, as I think most people would expect, and I think what most people are turning into looking for here on a program like this. But we've done the process. Mm-hmm. We did the Senior Bowl, the Combine, the top 30 visits, the Pro Days. Now it's just good old speculation for the next 2 weeks. So we kind of have a looser format today than we usually do. Definitely some specific things I want to touch on, but we're just kind of reacting to what's been out there this week, and I'm curious how Patriots fans are reacting to what's been out there this week, the last few weeks, whatever. So 617-779-0985. You want to call in, you want to talk draft. We'll have the phone lines open throughout the show. You want to chat with us, but we'll start with what was the biggest rumor, rumbling, whatever you want to call it, of the week, which is the J.J. McCarthy train's getting going again. After the Combine, remember, it was here we go. He's going to pass Jane Daniels. He's going to pass Drake May. Then that seemed to die down, and now it picks back up. You have reports that, he might be number 1 on the Patriots boards, or number 2 behind Caleb Williams, but he might be number 1 on the board on the Patriots boards. He might be number 1 on the board on the Commanders boards. We got some other Commanders news, too, that we'll get into in the next segment that I think is notable, but here we go again. The J.J. McCarthy thing isn't going away. It's not going away. And I just still don't see it. I still don't see it. If you want to talk to me about the Vikings, that's the one team I see it for with J.J. McCarthy, and I actually think he'd be pretty good there. Because what do they have? 2 really good receivers and a dominant offensive line.
In a dome.
In a dome. Good point. Yeah, fair. I'll give him credit. He played in Michigan. He's played in bad weather games. He's experienced that. So I'll give him credit for that. But he can just kind of go out there and it's paint by number. And if you're a team that has that set, like they're a quarterback away from kind of being a 80-85% version of the Niners. And can J.J. McCarthy be their Brock Purdy? I think there's a chance. I think there's a fair chance at that. But if you're a team, the Patriots, the Commanders, the Giants, looking for that franchise quarterback, looking for that first piece, C.J. Stroud, he's going to elevate everything around him as the roster's being built up. Because I think Texans roster was a little overrated last year. I do. I think C.J. Stroud actually should get more credit for what he did last year than he has. He's obviously gotten a ton of credit. Mm-hmm. If you're looking for that guy, that's still Jaden Daniels and Drake May to me. I don't think J.J. McCarthy's in that territory still.
And you were real kind the way you said it. It's basically if you want a good game manager to control a good team, get J.J. McCarthy. If you want, like you said, if you want somebody to elevate the players around you because you don't have the elite offensive line and the elite receivers and all that stuff going for you, you need a quarterback that changes the room. And I'm with you, man. I've never seen anything that's shown that he's that dude that just makes everybody around him better. And we jokingly said it last week. If you took any of these guys that were listed as top 4 quarterbacks and put them in Michigan, it'd have been real hard for them not to go undefeated too. And they might have done it in a spectacular fashion at that. But there were stretches where they asked him not to throw the football. There were stretches where it was like, let's keep the ball out of his hand and we're going to run it and get out of here. That doesn't mean he's not good, but it didn't mean they wanted to put the ball in his hands in key situations. I mean, it'd be 3rd and 8 and they're running draws. I mean, they would get it because they were so good.
Right.
But it's I don't see how he went from being a 3rd round, 4th round guy to top 10 pick in this draft, top 5 pick now in the draft. And I would love to ask you. You would have more knowledge of this than all of us. Who was the one behind the machine?
Oh, it's got to be Harbaugh.
You believe it's Harbaugh? Okay.
I say that like half jokingly, but one thing somebody had this tweet during the week, and I would love to find it to give him credit. I don't have it in front of me. Is because there was that story about. And I think part of the rise with J.J. McCarthy is he's interviewing well. He's telling teams what they want to hear, whether it's genuine or not. Like, teams are coming away hearing what they want to hear. And there's the story about, when he was being recruited to Michigan, he told the other recruits, if you want to party, don't come here. We're trying to win a title and whatever, which, great. But somebody pointed out, how is it that all the stories hyping J.J. McCarthy have nothing to do with him throwing a football? And we've seen, look, and this isn't to pick on J.J. McCarthy. He's trying to get drafted high. Good for him. He's going to the room, and
he's got to sell himself.
Right, he's selling himself. So good credit to him for that. But it's not like the league hasn't fallen for this before. Just getting the guy they think, who presents himself as the face of the franchise, and he does it well enough that you maybe forget what he is on the field.
Do you think the overselling of, you hear a lot, the toughness, you think that's, I would say, exaggerated a little bit? Like, oh, he's the toughest of all the quarterbacks in the draft. It's like, I don't know how valid that. I mean, do you buy into that? Like, the quarterback has to be the toughest dude in the draft in order for him to be successful?
I want a quarterback with a level of toughness. And I don't know how tough he is or not. Like, he didn't really get touched in Michigan. He had such a good offensive line, and he didn't face a ton of adversity. They were always winning. Maybe he is tough. Sure. So is Michael Penix. Look at what he came back from.
Right, he tore his knees up.
Playing national championship with some sort of rib injury, whatever that was, right? He's barely carrying himself. I'll give Bo Nix a ton of credit. People know I'm not a Bo Nix guy. If there's one thing Bo Nix has, it's toughness.
Yeah,
it's physical toughness. So I would.
Daniels took a lot of shots.
Daniels took a lot of hits. If you're drafting based on toughness, I don't think J.J. McCarthy's alone in that category. The one thing I think, if J.J. McCarthy is a carrying trait besides his PR team, his mechanics are so clean. They are. And I think that's part of what teams are excited by that. And then, he's been coached by an NFL coach. But, again, you can find other guys that have those traits, and that's with more ceiling, and that's what confuses me.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I know something we're going to get into a little later about what picks would you want to see, or what picks would have you throw in a chair. But I mean, I don't know. I'd be walking around the house with my head down a little bit, turning on the NBA playoffs if his name came across.
So, well, let me ask you this: I'm pretty famously on record at this point. I have JJ McCarthy as my 5th quarterback in the draft.
Okay.
I go Williams, Daniels, May, Penix, McCarthy, Nix. That's the order. Where do you have McCarthy ranked?
Be all honesty, man. I think he's kind of behind. I got him behind Bo Nix.
Okay, I had that initially, and
I
then
had him behind Bo Nix.
When I did my initial rankings, I had that, and then it was more just lack of pop from Bo Nix. I moved Bo Nix down more than I moved McCarthy up, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I understand that. His combine, he didn't do himself any favors.
No.
He was kind of throwing some ducks out
Senior
there.
Bowl wasn't great either, and I was just like, this guy that is, had the most accurate season in NCAA history, he's now throwing the ball downfield more, and the accuracy's not there. That was just a major. Talking about Nix, that was just a major concern to me. Like, you should be able to showcase your carrying trait in that kind of setting, and he wasn't able to do that. And that, to me, McCarthy at least is younger, has room to grow in terms of his age. Nix is 24. Like, there's a chance if this is who he is, this is who he is. There's a real chance of that.
That's true. That's fair. I was giving Nix credit because he didn't turn the ball over literally at all. And he's way more physical than I think people realize. Running with the football, stuff like that. And like you said, he's accurate as all get out, but he just didn't. If he's already at his ceiling, then what are we doing? You know what I'm saying? What are you doing? You're not taking a guy like that in the first round. And I guess my biggest knock on McCarthy is I would have loved to see what he looked like if he wasn't playing behind the greatest team in college football this season. I would love to see him and playing for any one of those other teams. If he was at USC, if he was at Washington or Oregon.
Put him behind that UNC offensive line.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Or somebody like Colorado or something like that would Sanders was running for his life every time he snapped the football, instead of the situation he was in. But yeah, I would love to see. Like I mentioned this before, if Drake May was in Michigan, we wouldn't even be having this conversation.
The only guy we can truly say that about is Joe Milton. And yes, Joe Milton was in Michigan and lost his job to JJ McCarthy.
Yep.
It's the only guy we know we can say that about in the draft.
Yep. And that's where the whole transfer thing and getting in the transfer portal could come back to bite you. It's like, wait a minute, weren't you at where you couldn't succeed there? It's going to hurt some guys in the future. But I'm not seeing the McCarthy hype, and I would love to know how fans in other cities feel about him if their team is being mentioned with him. But I'm so curious of how this kid moved up so fast, so quickly without throwing a football.
I think it was the interview. I think he interviewed super well, and I'm guessing Harbaugh and the coaching staff. Is it Sherman Moore, right? Sherwood Moore, the offensive coordinator at Michigan, who's now the head coach.
Head coach, yeah.
Sherrone Moore. Sorry, Sherrone Moore. I'm guessing Sherrone Moore and Harbaugh also told teams what they wanted to hear.
Yeah.
So, real quick before we throw to break, somebody in the YouTube comments, speaking of moving these quarterbacks on different teams, put Jaden Daniels behind Drake May's offensive line. What do you get?
Oh, man. About 1,500 yards rushing and about 700 less passing yards. But he'd be playing in the ACC against weaker defenses. But we'll see.
617-779-0985. You want to join in? We'll be back with more quarterback talk next here on the Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff.
More Sunday Kickoff coming up on the Sports Hub. ready to talk football on Sunday.
Coming to the game on Sunday.
This is Sunday Kickoff with Alex Barth and Cerrone Battle on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Back here on Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff, Alex Barth, Cerrone Battle with you. You want to join in, talk draft with us, 617-779-0985. Again, the gauntlet has been laid down, the term? I don't know. Like, what's done is done. The hay's in the barn. At this point now, they're just in the meetings, flushing out their boards. The teams are. Prospects, they're done. Their part's done. We're not getting any newer, I doubt. We're getting new information between now and the draft, unless it's literally this team picks this player, which we'll get into that in a second. But no more 40 times, no more on-field testing, no more any of that. Just 2 weeks of build-up now till the NFL draft. We know Caleb Williams going first overall. Or we don't. That hasn't been reported yet. Like, we don't know that yet, but we know, right? You know, we don't know, but we know.
They don't even talk about him anymore. Like, he's not
exactly.
even there.
Well, I did that earlier. I said so-and-so's number one quarterback on the board. Well, instead of it, right? So, well, we can. I'll Sharpie it in. I'll Sharpie it in. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'll Sharpie it in. Caleb Williams going 1-1. They traded Justin Fields. Like, come on now.
Yeah. That real quick.
Yeah.
What do you think of him,
Williams?
Do you think he's? I mean, not is he good? I mean, the dude. I think he throws a beautiful football. His impact. Do you think Caleb Williams, since we pretty much know he's going to Chicago, they went and got Keenan Allen and some pieces around him already. Do you see them as having a C.J. Stroud-like season? And immediately, like the Bears just being a cool team, like day one.
Yeah, I think it could happen. My big thing with Caleb Williams is I think you saw some more flaws in his game exposed this year. He's got to get better at setting his feet when he throws. The one thing for everybody talks about him being soft and you know, the mental makeup you can question. I think on the field, he played from behind a ton this year because that USC defense was atrocious.
It was bad.
And he did a pretty good job of that. My big thing with Caleb Williams is for the flaws that there are, and I'd still take his flaws over the flaws of any quarterback in the draft. Like, I'd still rather fix what needs to be fixed with him than fix what needs to be fixed with anybody else. But, or just guys that have things that can't be fixed. His carrying trait is his ability not just to prevent disaster in bad situations, but to create positive plays when everything's falling apart around him. And that right now is the most desired trait of a quarterback in the NFL. That right now for a quarterback is more dangerous than anything. And if that one single trait translates, at the very least, he'll be a quarterback that has his team in contention for the playoffs every year. At the very least. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that's what you want.
Right. In that sense, I think he's a tremendous prospect. We'll see if he pans out. Like, could he end up being like Trevor Lawrence, where, you know, he's good, but we're left questioning this isn't necessarily what was advertised? Yeah, I think there's a real chance he could become that guy, but I don't think he's gonna be like Mac Jones, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, right? Where
we're like, what a bust. Yeah.
Right, where he's off the Bears before his rookie contract ends. So I don't see that. The question is what happens after him, though, because Patriots took the third pick, so they're at the mercy of the Washington Commanders. If you remember, so the last couple weeks we've been talking about the breadcrumbs, right? The last couple weeks we had Brian Kelly at the LSU Pro Day bring up the Commanders. Now, it wasn't unprompted, but he didn't exactly go out of his way to generalize the answer either.
For Washington.
Thank you, Ryan. Last week we had Schefter on his podcast saying he'd pencil in Jaden Daniels to go second. We've got more audio. Schefter again. Ryan, hit us with it.
Good luck to your Commanders in the draft as well.
And sorry, Ryan. Sorry. This is on a Commanders podcast. He's on a. I'll find out. Credit the podcast after we hear it. He's on a podcast talking about specifically the Commanders.
Good luck to your Commanders in the draft as well. I think you're going to get those Jaden Daniels jerseys. I think you're going to get them.
Hey, look, man, I'm about to get one too. You know, get one on for the show, AJ.
Adam, we just got to make sure that his teammates showed up to his birthday party like the movie Draft Day.
You know what? When you get him, I think you get me one too. You know, send it my way too. Come on.
Hey, man, that ain't nothing for us. We can take care of that. But look, Adam, we appreciate you, man. There's not many times we get.
Adam been looking around. Hey, Ma, Adam been looking around like he got some news to break.
AJ, there's always something going on. You know the deal, man.
So that was on, I can't find the name of the podcast here from the tweet, but he's on with a couple guys, Saint, Dre, I'm just reading their Twitter names, Jamal. I replied to the tweet earlier this week. You can find it. Oh, here it is. The Trapper Dive podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Telling them, yeah, you can go get that Jaden Daniels jersey. This is more and more from Schefter. He's going to look bad if it's not Daniels at second.
Yeah.
He's going to come out of this looking really bad. And, like, would he expose himself to that? He seems too smart.
Why put that out there?
Right. I continue to feel it's Jaden Daniels second over. I don't think Schefter is going on this PR tour for Jaden Daniels unless he really knows something.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting if Washington does something different and, you know, unless Schefter comes out with this story in the next week and a half. Like, oh, I'm hearing it was looking like all the momentum was going to Jaden Daniels to Washington, but now I'm hearing like if he does something to clean it up.
No, but so you're saying he backtracks.
He backtracks.
Yeah.
I get another report that someone said the owner's not really feeling Jaden Daniels right now. He's leaning toward this or that, or they got some medical information, something to make to put out there that maybe they're not sold on him just yet, just in case something happens.
Yeah, whether they're sold or not, it still feels to me like that's the pick. It just still feels to there's too much smoke. There's too much smoke.
Yeah.
When's the last time that somebody was really built up? I don't know. I guess it's a pretty unique situation. But when's the last time somebody was built up this much as a pick and then wasn't the pick for like a specific team?
Yeah, for this long, too. It's been a few weeks.
Like you had this little bump last year where it seemed like C.J. Stroud might go first overall. They caught, who was it? I forget if it was the GM or a head coach or some coach for the Panthers telling C.J. Stroud, like, yeah, when you get to Charlotte, we'll have to find a place to hoop. Because he was saying he likes to play basketball. But then, like, that kind of went away relatively quickly. You had, I'm trying to think what else. That's really it, because Zach Wilson, it got reported kind of early on that he was going second to the Jets, but then that was reported. It wasn't speculation, it was reported, and then that happened. I don't know the last time there was this much smoke around a pick, not going first overall, and then the guy didn't go there. I don't know how the last time there was this much smoke around a guy like that, period.
Yeah, I was feeling, I don't know, I for a little bit, I was thinking that, you know, after the pro days, that Washington was really in on Drake May. I thought it was neck and neck, and the next thing you know, you got Brian Kelly, you got Schefter, and everybody else like, well, he's going to number. What are the Patriots going to do at 3? It's almost like they're doing what we just said about Caleb Williams. Like they're not even talking about the first 2 anymore. Now it's then moved up to the Patriots. What are the Patriots going to do? Are they going to trade the pick? Whatever. Like the other 2 are just etched in stone. And it's really weird, but I absolutely would love on draft day for one of those teams just to throw a wrench in the whole operation and take a tackle or something crazy. I just would love it for entertainment purposes only, but I think it would be crazy to not go along with what Schefter and these other guys, not reporting, but what they're kind of feeling.
Unless it's like a trade up or something, right?
Yeah, somebody jumps in.
He did say that thing last week about, the Raiders also like Jane Daniels.
He kept threw that in there, yeah.
Where are they picking again? Who cares if they like or not?
Yeah, that would be interesting. I'm kind of looking for something like that, unless the Patriots are the team involved in it. That's everybody else but them.
Yeah, no, you said
stay right where you are.
Somebody shaking it up. Let's hope it's not the Patriots. That's been interesting, too, that there's all this talk about, the Patriots trading 3 and these teams want to move up and get a quarterback, and it's the Patriots. You haven't heard anybody saying it's the Commanders.
True.
right? Because you could trade up, like Minnesota could trade up to 2 just as much as they could trade up to 3.
Yeah, I mean, you can go to number 1 if you want, if you're really willing to go all in.
But I mean, I think that door closed when they traded Justin Fields. But no, you're right. You're right. It's just the Patriots are the team that's been circled. It's like, oh, the draft starts at 3.
Yeah, basically. And a lot of the mock drafts you're seeing Minnesota penciled in at 3. A lot of people's mock drafts, they have Minnesota, and I'm like, wait, what's? I be looking on Twitter and I see it, and I want to refresh it. Like, okay, did something happen? Why does everybody have the Patriots not picking at 3, but someone else in that 3rd spot? It's kind of weird to me, but everybody believes they're going to move out of there.
All right, 617-779-0985. You want to join in and talk quarterbacks? Let's talk about those Patriots scenarios with the 3rd overall pick. We'll do that next here on the Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff.
Stay tuned for more Sunday Kickoff on
You're listening to the home of Boston Celtics basketball, 98.5, the Sports Hub.
He begins the approach with a run-up and a swing right leg. Every football game starts with a kickoff. This is Sunday Kickoff with Alex Barth and Cerrone Battle on your home for Patriots football. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Back here on Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff, Alex Barth, Cerrone Battle with you. You want to call in 617-779-0985. So we've spent a lot of the show talking about the quarterbacks, but I do want to revisit one thing that we talked about a lot earlier in the offseason that's gone away, and maybe we can discuss in part why it's gone away. And that is the Patriots not taking a quarterback at 3. Mm-hmm. There's still people that want to see them trade back, take a tackle, trade back, take a receiver. I feel like you hear a lot less from the Marvin Harrison fans.
I haven't seen that kid in 3 months.
Right. Or even the Joe Alt at 3 people. Hmm? I'm not closing the door on... Look, I think they're going to take quarterback. I think they should take quarterback at 3.
Yes.
I'm not closed. I wouldn't be the most surprised. I would be more surprised if they took a non-quarterback at 3 than I would be if they traded back. And maybe after they trade back, they take a non-quarterback. But do you still think there's any scenario left in which they stick at 3 and take Harrison or Alt or somebody else that's not a quarterback?
No. I think if this was an established coaching staff and front office, and this was year 2, 3 of Mayo, whatever, I think you could see that. But I think with him starting off as a new head coach, I think he wants his quarterback. I think he wants his guy. He more than anybody else in that organization understands the power of a good quarterback coach combination, and I think he would like to get his guy. And then whatever they do after that, I think is all cool. But I think he wants his quarterback and is not going to risk trying to get one later or another draft or whatever. I think he's going to take his guy at 3. And I never really thought they would take a tackle or a receiver at that spot. And I wouldn't want them to move out of it either.
Look, I don't. I'd love it if they could draft Marvin Harrison. I would, because he's a great receiver and this team's needed great receivers, but. Mm-hmm. I said this back in October. Somebody asked me, is there any way the Patriots can end up with Marvin Harrison Jr.? We were still thinking, hey, maybe Mac turns it around. He's a real offensive coordinator now. Bill O'Brien, back in the good old days. And I remember saying at the time, if they're in position to draft Marvin Harrison Jr., they probably need a quarterback. So no, Marvin Harrison Jr. would be a bad pick. Mm-hmm. I'm still kind of there, and there's no shortage of wide receiver talent entering the league. Mm-hmm. So that's why I'm not going to, even if he becomes a great player, I'm not going to lose sleep over passing on him. There should be other opportunities to add a great receiver later in this draft and future drafts. You're not going to have a draft. Last year was such an anomaly with the perceived lack of receiver talent. You still had 4 guys go in the first round, and then another, as we found out later, absolute stud go on day 3 in Puka Nacua. And that was a down year. That was a down year for receivers.
Yeah, and what round did Dell go in? Tank Dell.
Yeah, he was day 2. I forget if he was the 2nd or 3rd. But yeah, after all that, last year was relative to the last 5 years. Mm-hmm. Last year, going into the draft, he was a 3rd round pick. Was considered a down year for receivers, and look what happened. Mm-hmm. And I want to give credit to Patriots fans. I think most people figured that out. And there were some people who were maybe in on Harrison earlier. But I think as tantalizing as that is, and I've said this the whole time, I understand why Patriots fans would get so excited about the concept of a guy like Marvin Harrison Jr. I think they all figured out, unfortunately, it's not the time. It's not the time.
Yeah. And I think Marvin Harrison, his absence from a lot of stuff boosted the stock of a lot of other guys. Because since he wasn't at the pro days, he wasn't at the combine, he wasn't at none of these events, we haven't really seen him. It kind of made the national networks and people go on YouTube and start looking up other people, You're seeing guys run the 40 and just light it up. And it made people go back and revisit and look at all these other receivers and say, wait a minute now. There's a bunch of guys out. You got people now, a lot of people like, well, maybe he's not even the best receiver in the draft. Maybe the kids from LSU might have him beat. You're seeing a lot of different stories and reports, and I think by his absence, it's been a good thing. It's made everybody kind of expand and look around at the wide receiver position and realize that there's some real talent out there and that you can get a guy after him that could be just as impactful. It's like, okay, we don't have Tyreek Hill, but okay, we have Jefferson, we have Jamar Chase, we have these other guys. We can get a Deebo Samuel. We can get another level of guy and still get a lot of production and maybe Pro Bowl caliber play as some of these other players.
All right, let's go to Joe and Warren, who has some thoughts on the draft. Joe, how you doing?
Good morning, guys.
Morning.
You know, I haven't heard anyone talk about this. This is my theory, and I could be wrong. Dak Prescott will be a New England Patriot next year. Okay? They're not gonna. I feel like they got all this money. You know, the bag. Gerard Mayo said they were going to spend. We haven't seen the bag. I don't know where the bag is. I think the bag got lost. I think he was probably talking about next year. They're going to get a wide receiver. I mean, there's so many holes this team needs. Even if you get a wide receiver, guys, the stats and history shows that most likely you're going to miss on a number one draft pick. You are. In the last 20, 25 years, if you go back and look, it's the hardest position in all of sports to play number one and to find, the next Tom Brady. You're not going to see those things come a dime a dozen. But I feel they're going to give the money to Dak. They're going to get some couple offensive plays or defense or whatever. But I don't think they're going to get a quarterback. I really don't.
All right, thanks.
That's all I got.
Thanks for the call, Joe. A couple things from that. You're not trying to find the next Tom Brady. If that's your expectation, you need to calm down because you're not going to. There is no next Tom Brady.
Yeah, and if there was a true Tom Brady, he'd be going to Chicago.
Right.
So you wouldn't get him anyway.
Like, you can't – the bar can't be that high. No quarterback is going to succeed if the bar is that high. And that doesn't mean that you need to accept failure either. But it's got to be somewhere in between, right?
Yeah, I mean, and what I was thinking when he said that was you don't need Tom Brady to win Super Bowls. Tom Brady lost to Eli Manning. He lost to Nick Foles.
Right.
I mean, Jared Goff was a couple coaching decisions away from going back to his second Super Bowl, by the way.
Right. You just need a guy that's good enough. And then if he's
good enough,
if he ends up being good on top of that, great.
Right.
The standard can't be the goal is Tom Brady. The standard can't be Tom Brady. Those are two different things because you're just going to keep going back in the carousel if that's the guy you're trying to find. You want a guy that you can win with, maybe win some games because of perennial AFC Championship games. That's not a realistic expectation. It's just not.
No, it's not in any sport. Be honest.
Right?
With you.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Not in the NHL. Nobody gets a guy that 70% of his career he's in a conference championship. That just does not happen.
We're not calling Jason Tatum a bust because he's not Michael Jordan or LeBron James. Would be kind of the point I'm trying to make. Right.
Right.
Nobody's sitting here and saying, well, he's not Jordan, so Tatum, what a bad pick that was. That's kind of, and I get what the caller meant. He meant like the next Patriots quarterback just in general. But
the bag.
I want to kind of emphasize that fact that like Tom Brady can't be the expectation here.
No.
The other point I want to bring up on Dak Prescott, man, that's dangerous. If you plan this whole offseason around we're going to sign Dak Prescott next year, and then the Cowboys pay him, or maybe you find out maybe his wife doesn't want to live in New England, right? Like we found out Calvin Ridley.
Yeah.
That is and I'd say the same for I know I've heard some people say the same thing about Trevor Lawrence, that if the Jaguars don't have a great season, they might be ready to move on. It's not the coach that drafted him, etc. I mean, you can try to do that. And if it works, great. You willing to bet your job on it? You willing to bet your job that Dak Prescott doesn't re-sign in Dallas?
There you go.
And that you're able to lure him in free agency. I get the draft, like his point. You're not likely to hit on a quarterback. Yes, it is Not likely. It is scary drafting a quarterback. Absolutely. But the only way out is through. The only way out is through. The other alternative is like waiting on Dak Prescott, to me, is as much of a long shot. It's a different kind of risk, but it's a risk. At a certain point, you got to bite the bullet, hold your nose, take the medicine, all that, and then hope you got the right guy.
And it's not even – and the other risk is, what if he comes here and sucks?
Yeah, too.
It's that part.
You don't have CeeDee Lamb here.
Right. There's no CeeDee Lamb. There's no Dallas offensive line and all the other things where they build the world around him. That ain't happening here. And you hit the nail on the head. People say a lot of things, and you have to ask them, put yourself in the position of a new head coach, a rookie head coach, and look at your wife and kid and say, I'm just going to throw this season away, y'all, and next year we're going to get Dak Prescott. And I'll be here when we get him. And, you're not going to risk that if it's your job on the line. And I doubt anybody in the Patriots front office is looking at Dak Prescott for maybe a year or two down the line. They're focused on today, because in today's NFL, coaches get let go by January. Half the league is going to get fired by the end of the season, and no one's going to put their job on the line for that.
617-779-0985. You want to join the quarterback conversation? There is one vet. That all being said, there is one veteran quarterback I would take sight unseen. I would absolutely plan around. I'll tell you who that is next here on the Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff.
The bag. I don't know where the bag is. I think the bag got lost.
More Sunday Kickoff is on the way.
21 plus to attend. All brought to you by Budweiser, the official beer sponsor of Major League Baseball.
Alex Barth and Cerrone Battle are here, talking football every Sunday morning with the insiders and with you. It's Sunday Kickoff on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
You're 100% retired.
Yes.
Let's say one day there's a situation, right? Maybe it's the 49ers, maybe, heading to the playoffs. Offense is great.
Patriots, somebody, Raiders,
look,
could be, you never know.
God forbid somebody goes down. Would you pick up that phone?
I'm not opposed to it. If they would, I don't know if they're going to let me if I become an owner in an NFL team, but I don't know if, I don't know. I'm always going to be in good shape, always be able to throw the ball. So to come in for a little bit, like MJ coming back, I don't know if they let me, but I wouldn't be opposed to it.
All right. Man, mic drop right there.
Run one. Because you hear the clip. That's like if somebody loses their quarterback late in the season, would he come back? I'd be open to it. He says very clearly, half jokingly. Suddenly now, well, what if you can get Tom Brady back? What do? You still take a quarterback?
Yes.
So let's play this out. So first off, I guess, do you think there is any chance under the circumstances that he laid out, Patriots, Raiders, Niners, late in the season, one of those teams loses their quarterback, they're making a run at the playoffs, they call Brady, do you think he would come back for that?
Like I said, take the league out of it. Yeah, I think he would have.
Right, take whether or not he can or can't.
If he can or can't not, can or cannot,
right.
Trying to be an owner and all the other stuff. And if Brock Purdy got hurt last year in October,
right,
Tom Brady would have walked into that room, grabbed the playbook, told them his playbook.
Right, he would have brought his own playbook.
He would have brought his own playbook. This is what we're running Sunday, and I think he's just some athletes are just ultra competitive. Some of these guys they can't let the game go, and some of them are so good that it's like, yo, this is wild. I mean, like you said, Michael Jordan. What people forget when he went to Washington, he was an owner for 3 years. He was already in the owner's box. He came out from being an owner to play basketball for a couple more years. It helped his team out, whatever, but it was more competitive fire. Tom Brady, he didn't go out with a major injury, anything like that. You see he runs the 40 now faster than he did when he was a rookie. Yeah, he would. Would he be successful? I don't know. But would he do it? Yeah, I think he absolutely would do it. I think he's too competitive not to even try.
All right. You want to have some fun with the fantasy here while we're on it?
Go ahead.
Let's say Tom Brady would come back, like for a season, to the Patriots.
Yep.
Are you still taking a quarterback third overall?
Absolutely.
Oh, really?
More than ever. Because now I got my you talk about a bridge quarterback. Oh, my God. I get to have my young quarterback learn under Tom Brady?
Hold on. I'm not going to let you sit here and call Tom Brady a bridge quarterback.
No, not a bridge. I mean,
I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. I'm being facetious,
not like
but
if my choice is Brissett or Tom Brady, I'll absolutely taking Tom Brady. And I'm drafting my quarterback.
Tom Brady's coming back. I'm gearing up. I'm drafting Marvin Harrison Jr. third overall.
I see what you're saying. Okay. Yeah.
I'm trading back up into the first round, getting myself a good left tackle. I'll trade next year's first round pick.
Get another receiver.
Get back up into the first round. Get the tackle. Now I have Marvin Harrison. I have a starting caliber left tackle. You plug the rest of the pieces in. Next year, all right, I don't have a first, whatever. Brady leaves. 2025 becomes the new 2020. You stink. But hopefully you load up around Brady, get another ring out of it.
Yeah.
And then you go get your guy in 2026. If Brady's back, I'm all in on Tom. I am not wasting a top 200 pick on a quarterback.
I get you.
I am drafting guys who are going to help Tom Brady get one more ring.
Yeah, and then I'm also taking Pop Douglas probably in the first 3 rounds of fantasy because he is going to be a machine under Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Hunter Henry all of a sudden's a Pro Bowl caliber tight end. Everybody's elevated. That's what happens when you get a quarterback like that. All of a sudden, guys that are okay are now good. Guys that look like they were Pro Bowl level are now all-time great. So, yeah, you get a Marvin Harrison with Tom Brady. Yeah. All of a sudden now everybody else is.
You see what I'm saying?
You don't win half your games out of fear.
I get the value, and you still take Drake May. You let him learn from Brady. Yeah, I get the value in that.
Yeah,
I'm all in on that year, man. I'm all in on that year. That's all I'm trying to do.
That's true. It's hard not to do that if you're Mayo. Like, you know what?
Right.
Yeah, the whole future stuff, let's just go ahead and scrap that right now. And any free agents that are left, all of a sudden
they're all coming here.
Now.
You're getting Steph Gilmore back. Does Zeke come back? Man, I don't know how many free agents are left. Zeke might come back.
T. Higgins is like, yeah, go ahead and make that trade.
Yeah, maybe T. Higgins. So maybe that's what you do. Maybe you figure out a way to add Marvin Harrison. So you have Marvin Harrison. You'd have T. Higgins at the X, Harrison at the Z, Pop Douglas in the slot, Hunter Henry's your tight end with Ramondre behind him.
And an elite defense.
An elite defense. You add your left tackle with 34, the future first. You trade up. That's how you add your left tackle. How many games does that team win? What does that team do, Cerrone?
Oh, my God. Well, the Bills are already done. They're going to give in. It's the minute that happens, the Bills Mafia just goes away. Oh, man, I think, we're just playing around here.
We're just having fun.
They'd win a division. You know that.
They'd be right there for sure. They'd make the playoffs. They win at least 10 games. Tom Brady walks through the door, you're a 10-win team minimum.
Yes. And again, he didn't go out with an injury. He didn't stop working out. I mean, what did he have, like 5,000 yards or something like that when he left Tampa?
Yeah.
Something ridiculous. I mean, if he's available, you make that phone call. You absolutely make that phone call. Again, this isn't Michael Jordan who sat away for 3 seasons and sat in the owner's box. The dude just ran a 40 faster than he did as a rookie a couple weeks ago. Yeah, you make that phone call. It changes your whole franchise.
Brady's
over quarterback.
Last year in Tampa threw for 4,600 yards, 25 touchdowns, 9 picks. Not that any of this will happen, obviously. It's not. No. We're just having fun here. One person who I'm guessing thinks it will happen, though, or Ryan's taking the call. We'll give it a second here. We good? One person that does think it will happen, though, I think, is Paulie in the truck. Paulie, how you doing?
Hey, who's this?
It's Barth.
Hello?
Nope.
Bobby?
Yeah.
Hey, I'm on.
Hey,
I'm
you're
sorry,
on.
Didn't even put me on the board. That's great.
I thought we had you.
I guess I must be on the Tom Brady Express.
I figured we're talking Tom Brady coming back. Who better to talk to than Paulie in the truck?
Thank you, my brother. You know who you are to me, my brother Barth. You're my number one guy in that whole company. I'll tell you that.
You get your hopes up?
See eye to eye. I'm doing the same thing that I've been saying it since Christmas. That would be you got to get the receiver, and then and build you and get your tackle. After that, go up and get your tackle. And he would already attracted so many free agents. I'll tell you, and I'm going to tell you one last thing, brother. I'm going to let you right into my personal life right now. I'm going to tell you something. I lost my soulmate. The day I lost my soulmate, I found out that I lost her. That night, it was announced Tom Brady maybe coming back, and I needed to hear that more than ever. I needed to hear something positive, something like that, to try to help bring me out of my funk, which I still remain in. And missing her.
All right. Well, I hope.
Thanks for the time, brother.
Of course. I hope you're doing better, Paul. I hope you work through that. Obviously, and I'm glad you got a little bit of news there that could help you out. So, thanks for the call. All right, we're gonna take a quick check. The headlines here. 90 seconds, no commercials. Come back. We're doing more draft talk. We're rolling more draft talk. You want to talk draft with us? 617-779-0985. Back to reality next. 90 seconds, no commercials here on the Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff.
WBCFM HD1 from the Town Fair Tire Studios, the home of the Patriots, the Celts, the Revs, and the Bruins. Boston's home for sports is 98.5, the Sports Hub. Please leave media information. Sports Hub headlines.
The Bruins, they scored 4 times in the second period last night. That helped them knock off the Pittsburgh Penguins 6-4. Multi-point games for Charlie Coyle, David Pastrnak, and Pavel Zacha. 28 saves by Linus Ullmark as they jump back into first place in the Atlantic Division. The Red Sox snapped a 4-game losing streak yesterday afternoon, beating the Angels 7-2. The Sox and Angels wrap up their series today at Fenway Park at 1:30. Brian Bayo will be on the mound. Celtics in action today as well. They take on the Washington Wizards in their regular season finale. Already ruled out for this game: Jaylen Brown, Drew Holiday, Al Horford, Kristaps Porzingis, Jason Tatum, and Derek White. Coverage of that one begins at 12:30 on the BetMGM 98.5, the Sports Hub Celtics Radio Network. The New England Revolution lost 2-0 to NYFC last night. The New England Free Jacks beat the Houston SaberCats 47-35. And at the Masters final day of the 2024 tournament, heading into play today, Scotty Scheffler sits alone atop the leaderboard at 7 under, but there's a pack behind him. Colin Morikawa at 6 under. Max Homa at 5 under. Ludwig Aberg at 4 under. And Bryson DeChambeau, thanks to a late birdie yesterday, at 3 under. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Cape Cod Lumber and CCL Homescapes. 100% employee owned. Your go-to independent lumber yard. Partner with CCL and CCL Homescapes for all your building needs right in Abington. I'm Alex Barth on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 10 o'clock.
Hold everything 98.5 The Sports Hub has to offer in the palm of your hand.
I need that.
Listen live. Get breaking news.
I need it.
Download the Sports Hub app. You're listening to Sunday Kickoff with Alex Barth and Cerrone Battle on your station for the best football coverage. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Off-season's coming to an end very quick. Well, the on part of the off-season is coming to an end very quickly. And then we'll have more coverage, spring practices and all that. 98.5thesportshub.com. That's certainly coming your way as well. But that's like less hectic for me, just me personally, because it's all contained into one day, right? It's you go, you cover the practice, that's it. It's not this whole long-term watching prospects, all of that. But as we lead up to the draft here, again, it's Alex Barth, Cerrone Battle. Ryan Beaton behind the glass. We put this question out yesterday on Twitter. Cerrone, you came up with this question. What would Patriots fans consider a win in the draft? What would they consider to be a win on draft night? And I said we'd react to some of the answers we got. And I want to let's actually take a look at some. So, I mean, pretty much everybody wants the quarterback. Mm-hmm. Pretty much everybody says some sort of permutation with a quarterback. And then I feel like there's more people that want to see them either trade up or take the receiver at 34 than want to see them take the tackle. Some people said tackle, and that was pretty much the consensus, quarterback and then one of those two guys. Mm-hmm. But I think that's more or less what fans want to see. Some people gave us specific drafts. We got Drake May and Xavier Legette, like 1 and 2 a couple of times. Mm-hmm. But I think it's pretty clear what Patriots fans are looking for.
So quarterback, left tackle, for the most part. That's the number.
Well, I think it was mostly quarterback, receiver, and then we got a couple quarterback, left tackle.
Okay. Quarterback, receiver. Yeah, I mean, it's the sexiest way to go. It's the popular way to go. I mean, you have some more of the old school crowd probably want the left tackles, but I mean, it's. I think people would be happy, and I think they'd walk away like feeling good and feeling excited about training camp and all these other things that'll be coming up after that, and will feel a little more optimistic about the season if it's the combination of quarterback, receiver. And I know people have. I want Daniels, I want May, I want some Penix people out there. I think when it's said and done, people are going to feel good no matter who the quarterback and receiver combination is, as long as they walk out of there with a quarterback, receiver, 1-2 punch like that coming out of the draft.
Yeah. The one reply we got that I think was interesting, this guy gets the draft. He actually doesn't, his name's not on Twitter. It's just one of those Easter Island head emojis. Draft with purpose. Don't just take a guy to take a guy. Target who you want and do whatever it takes to get them in the building, whether it's quarterback, receiver, tackle. That's it for me. And look, I'd like to see them come out with a quarterback, but I'll say in the same breath, you don't take a quarterback, just take quarterback. If they truly don't believe in any of these guys, don't waste the pick. And I don't just mean that at 3. I mean, if you trade down, take a tackle at the top, well, we need a quarterback, so let's take Bo Nix. We need a quarterback, so let's take Spencer Rattler, even though we don't think he'll really play for us. No, they don't take him. Then build up the roster around the future guy. I think they believe in the quarterbacks, so I don't think that situation will necessarily happen. But that's how I feel. Let's go Jonathan and Randolph with a thought on the Patriots. Good morning.
Barth, I blame you now for getting my hopes up. But the thing with Brady possibly coming back, I mean, to be realistic, they'd have to know now because they'd have to basically just reset their whole draft board, and that's not happening now. He'd have to tell them now. So it's not going to happen because it can't happen because otherwise it'd throw everything into chaos, and that'd be a real, dick move by Brady to do that. Say he wants to come back in July.
Well,
after,
let me ask you this:
training.
Would you take the chaos?
Yes.
Oh, okay, so there you go. Thanks for the call, John.
But I don't expect it because of that.
No, look again. It's not going to happen. I got my own hopes up. I was watching the Masters Thursday with Matt McCarthy and Matt Stenberg, and we were talking about this. And Stenberg was like, "You're diving too deep into this. What are you doing? It's not going to happen." I'm like, "Let me have this."
You got to remember though, the key to the question the guy asked him was if someone gets hurt late in the season.
Right? Yeah. No, it's not right.
That's the whole. I don't think he even wants to play a full season.
No.
But if someone calls him in around Halloween, like, "Hey man, Aaron Rodgers went down again."
No, he can't go to
let's
the Jets.
roll.
No, don't even put that out there. And look, it's the reason. We've been doing the same loops on this draft for months. I can do these mocks in my sleep. All right, I'm going to take Drake May at 3. I'm going to trade 34, 34, 103, and 180. I'm going to move up to 26 with Tampa. I'm going to take A.D. Mitchell. And then at 68, I'm going to take Patrick Paul. All right, I'm going to take Jane Daniels at 3. I'm going to move up. I'm going to trade, I'm going to go up and get Tyler Geithner or Marius Mims, whichever one falls in the late 20s. And then at 68, I'm going to take Johnny Wilson. Like, it's the same permutations over and over. Forget the whole Brady element of it. It's a different scenario I get to talk about with the draft because now it's all right. I'm going to take Marvin Harrison, and then I'm going to make this move, right? And so, I let me have it for a minute. Let me have, but it's
if we can have it for a few minutes.
For a few, well, we did a segment on it, and I appreciate everybody letting us have that. But I think whether it is at the beginning of the season, even if it's late in the season, if somebody gets hurt, I don't think he's doing it. I think he's done, and even if he's allowed to, we got to see.
But what I would just like to say is that all that shows the power of when you have an elite quarterback, how it changes your whole mindset. It just the mention of Tom Brady's name,
right,
got people excited and thinking, "Oh, we can win a division that easy." This is why you have to get you a quarterback. This is why you take a swing at a quarterback. This is why you have to try and find your next franchise guy because they're so important. The league is so built around the quarterbacks now that one guy, if you get it right, can change the fortunes of your franchise forever. I mean, Houston was a joke franchise for so long. C.J. Stroud walks in the room, immediately you're like, oh, my God, they're the team. It doesn't take much. You have to get your quarterback, and it changes the morale of the team, his teammates, front office, and the fans. It makes everybody feel better about it. You got to find your quarterback.
All right, let's go Jason on the Cape. Jason.
Hey, how's it going? Good morning, guys.
Morning.
Yeah, I think this is going to be the most important draft in history, especially if we miss on the quarterback. That's one of the most important pieces here is hitting the quarterback. We have to hit it, not just get it.
Yeah, well, Jason, let me ask you this. What would be worse? Taking a quarterback who ends up being bad or passing on a quarterback who ends up being great?
Well, there's so many needs on the offense. I would say passing on a quarterback that's bad and not getting a few things around it, and then going from there. I personally think that I don't like May. I'm iffy on McCarthy. If Daniel slips to us, I think he's got the most dynamic ability to play right away. And Penix is a guy that no one's talked about who's got the best arm, and this is a precision passing league now. So, I don't understand why we're talking about a 60% quarterback in Drake May who's got a low floor and potentially not a high ceiling. I'm nervous about that. I'm nervous that they're going to take Drake May. You could be a big mistake, a big bust. He could be a Trubisky. He could be a Jay Cutler, one of these bums that's been around for a while. It's scary.
All right. Good call, Jason. Good call. A lot of good points there. It is scary. I've said that, and I'll continue to say it. You're absolutely allowed to be scared. I'm scared. I'll admit that. I'm scared. I know Felger's scared. He's talked about that. But
this is what happens, though. You put yourself in this position.
The only way out is through. And I'll say this, too. Let yourself, I guess we're doing it. Well, the next segment is a little teaser here. The next segment is what is the worst case scenario for the Patriots in the draft. So we're not going to be all super positive, but allow yourself for a second, because I think everybody just figured what could go wrong. What could go wrong? Drake May, seeing everything that could go wrong. Think about what could go right. Mm-hmm. What if you make that pick and you hit on him? And to the college pro, he's more of a Jaden Daniels guy. He didn't just rule out all the quarterbacks. That's a nuanced take about I like this guy better than this guy. I have no problem with that. But just as a generality, what could go? And I'll say the same about Jaden Daniels. If you take him, what could go right? Mm-hmm. Right? What could go right? So I'll take the chance. I'd rather go down swinging than leave the bat on my shoulder, basically, knowing what the potential is on the other side. And if you miss, you miss. You're not the first team that's missed on a quarterback pick. It sucks. And then we have to do this all again in 3 or 4 years. But that's what being, for so long, the Patriots were their own entity. They're one of 32 teams now, and this is just how you do it in the NFL.
And I would like to add to that. A lot of people keep saying, I've said this before. Well, if you don't get your quarterback, you go get you a left tackle, go get your receiver. There's busts at every position. What if the left tackle and the receivers suck?
Right. These other guys aren't
miss on those
automatic hits. If I tell you have, and Bill Barnwell wrote something with the percentages, and I don't remember from getting them exactly right, but if I tell you have a 19% chance of hitting, and I mean truly hitting on a quarterback, so we're talking about a Pro Bowl caliber player in both instances. Mm-hmm. If you have a 19% chance of hitting on a quarterback, or a 25% chance of hitting on a tackle, which player are you taking?
Exactly.
Who?
No, I said exactly.
Right. I thought you said tackle. That little margin where it's maybe a little more likely, even though both are unlikely? Is that little margin really enough to help you sleep at night? Mm-hmm. If it is, fine, that's your take. But that's just know what, that's what you're saying, essentially. It's not 20% versus 80%.
And one thing I add real quick before we go to break, he mentioned you end up with somebody like a Jay Cutler or Mitch Trubisky. Under the right coaching, both of those guys made the Pro Bowl. Look, it's going to come down to coaching. Yes. You can get Penix. You can get Caleb Williams. If you do not coach and develop this kid right, he will fail. You can end up with Brock Purdy, who was taken late in the draft, Tom Brady, and develop him right, and he can be a Pro Bowl caliber quarterback. It's all whoever they pick. It's still going to come down to developing and coaching. We're basing everything off what they did in the past on a college level. What if some guy corrects all of Drake May's issues, his footwork, decision making? What if some guy gets Jaden Daniels to put on another 5 pounds, 10 pounds, and it corrects those issues with him? Michael Penix, whatever. It's going to come down to coaching and developing these guys.
I've said that the process doesn't end when you draft the quarterback. The process begins when you draft the quarterback. 617-779-0985. Tim, Dan, I see you on the phone. We'll get to you guys next here on Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff.
More Sunday Kickoff coming up on the never too early to talk football on Sunday.
Coming to the game on Sunday.
This is Sunday Kickoff with Alex Barth and Cerrone Battle on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Back here on Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff, Alex Barth, Cerrone Battle with you, taking up until 10 o'clock. Mostly draft talk, and we've been pretty positive, if anything, up in the clouds the last few segments. Tom Brady's coming back. Just think about what happens if Drake May's good, blah, blah, blah. We do need to come back down to reality a little bit here. Mm-hmm. And we did say what would be considered a win for the Patriots on draft night or draft weekend. What would be a loss for the Patriots on draft weekend? I think Dan in Rhode Island has his thoughts on that. Dan, thanks for calling.
Hey, how you doing, guys? Two quick points. One on Harrison and on T building. Look, Harrison, to me, I want no part of him. I don't care how good he is. He's already displayed his diva behavior. I don't want to go to the combine. I don't want to have a workout. Just look at my tape, right? He's a diva. And we know what these guys are going to be a pain in the ass. So, good, you draft him, right? And then you got no one to throw him the ball. How many years into it is he going to say, I want the hell out of here? You think he'd even make it through the first contract? Seriously.
I think that second part's a very fair point. If you draft him with the idea of, we're going to build it up around him as we go, can you get it all in place before he gets frustrated? I think that's a very fair point.
How long before Justin Jefferson, if they can't get him the ball this year with Cousins gone, he's going to say, get me the hell out of here? How long is it going to take?
I think, and it's not a Harrison take for me. I think it's any receiver. We know these guys get frustrated. We know they want to play with great quarterbacks, and if you can't get that in place quickly enough, you risk losing them. I think that's a very fair point.
And one thing about team building, okay, let's do it without the quarterback. Great. How many teams in this league? They do it right. Okay, great. Now we're the Steelers. And what are you doing? You're going out, you're in the middle of the league, you're never good enough to win anything, you got a decent roster, but basically you have to go dumpster diving to try to find a quarterback because you're not willing to give up the 3 first-round picks you're going to need eventually to do it, to try to take a stab at someone. You know what I mean? It lacks common sense. I just don't understand why people think that way. We'll do it the 49ers way. The 49ers hit on so many picks, which is an anomaly. It doesn't work that way, And it's just frustrating to me. Just take the quarterback and let's go on and hope it works out. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.
Yeah, great call. Great call.
I agree.
And he's right. And even to the people who say, get the quarterback next year in 2 years, you if you're still picking third in 2 years, you're not making the pick.
And we don't even know who the head coach would be by then.
Right. So you're in this position to take the quarterback. I think you take the quarterback. And I agree. Harrison, I think, as good of a player as he is, doesn't help them in the short term. And I know we're focused on this long-term rebuild and draft and develop. There needs to be a little bit of a focus on the short term as well. And you need to kind of get this thing going a little bit.
And we've talked about this before. I think it's been a while ago, though, but how many receivers in history, last 20 years, have been the leader of getting teams to Super Bowls? As good as receivers are, it's right. If you look around the league, most of the best receivers are on average teams.
And you look historically, outside of, Jerry Rice is the exception. Obviously, he was dominant, but he also played with Joe Montana.
And Steve Young.
Right. Moss, no ring. And I love Randy Moss. I think Randy Moss is second best receiver of all time. Yeah. No ring. Terrell Owens, no ring.
Chris Carter. Go down the Hall of Fame rankings of receivers. And just like Jerry Rice, rings. Randy Moss, none. Terrell Owens, none.
The only ones you get, Marvin
Chris
Harrison,
Carter.
Played with a great quarterback. Torrey Holt, played, greatest show on turf. Unbelievable offense. Kurt Warner was winning MVPs.
Mm-hmm.
Tyreek Hill, Patrick Mahomes. It's just there's not a ton of evidence that the receiver is going to be the carrying player. Do you need a good receiver at some point? Yes, absolutely. This is not me saying never invest in receiver.
You need something.
Right. I'm just saying not yet. Not yet.
And if you mentioned Marvin Harrison Sr. and Torrey Holt, they got one. As good as they were,
Right.
As dominant as those offenses were, they squeaked one out of their whole careers. I mean, it's they're not the end all be all when it comes to dominant, the leading NFL super team.
Right. Let's go to some people who might disagree with us, though. Tim and Lowell. Tim.
Yeah, so that guy was a great call, the last call, but I disagree with him. You know what? I look at the people who want to draft a quarterback. They're the people that when they're living in a house and the plumbing is no good and the electrical's ready to burn the house down, and they have enough money to either fix the house up or buy a new car. The quarterback people want to go out and buy the new car to have in the driveway. Who cares if the house floods out or burns down? They got a new car in the driveway. This team needs to take the approach of the Texans. They need to build up the roster, or otherwise you draft a quarterback now. In 2 years, you guys will be talking about this guy like the way you've been talking about Mac Jones for the last year. You got to get him a line, an offensive line. They need the best tackle in the draft. If they can trade back and still get that guy, they should trade back. They need 2 starters on the line. And then the third pick, they go with the best player in the draft, whether it's a quarterback or a defensive back, a wide receiver. But they need 2 starters at minimum on the line.
All right, thanks for the call, Tim. So I would say the quarterback in that scenario is the house. You live in the house.
I was thinking the same thing. The receiver is the Lamborghini in the driveway.
The receiver, right. That picture that goes around all the time when you talk about where it's the Bugatti under the carport next to the dilapidated house. That's the receiver.
That's the receiver. Yeah, it's the other way around.
Yeah.
And it's he mentioned they got to build like the Texans. Nobody thought the Texans roster was good.
No.
Nobody. We didn't know who Tank Dell was and Nico Collins. We knew them, but we weren't saying, oh, look at those guys. Man, if they just had a quarterback.
Draft a quarterback.
Nobody thought.
Yeah, I love the way he said quarterback there.
Quarterback.
Great. It sounded like
what's his name?
Belichick.
Exactly.
Mad Dog. Chris Russo.
But it's nobody thought the Texans had any of that stuff. But then when you dropped a good quarterback in it just made it all look great. Like, wait a minute. That's what a quarterback does. It makes everything else look better.
The one thing the Celtics I'm looking at getting ready for the headlines for later. The one thing the Patriots don't have, the Celtics don't have either, I guess, is a left tackle. And the Texans, they had Laramie Tunsil. So that makes a difference. I don't think the offensive line is as far away as the caller is suggesting. Now, does their current left tackle situation scare the crap out of me? Yeah, absolutely. But if they can so the Texans hit on Tank Dell, right, in the third round. Mm-hmm. If the Patriots can get a Tank Dell equivalent at tackle in the second or third round, you still have David Andrews. I think City showed you something last year as a right guard. You have Michael Nwonu at right tackle. It's basically just figuring out between Cole Strange, Antonio Mafi, Nick Leverett, Jake Andrews, and they've invested a lot at the guard position the last few years. Can you get 17 games of starting caliber left guard play? And those are 2 ifs. Like, I admit that. But if you hit on a tackle in the draft, suddenly the offensive line looks a lot better. They're not going to be, the mid-2010s Cowboys, but they can be good enough to get you through the year. One more call on the quarterbacks. Murph and Southie.
Hey, guys. Great show. Going off that last house analogy, I think taking a quarterback early, we're spending $1 million on a house that's supposed to be built, but we don't even know if we're going to have the foundation in a couple of years. And if you look at all the successful franchises, they all had solid teams or great teams, even the Vikings now as they bring in a new quarterback to develop. And Justin Jefferson is happy on the Vikings, and he wants to stay, and he's discussing a long-term contract. So bring in a receiver, I think, or the best offensive person, if that's a left tackle, if we trade down, is the way to go. Thanks.
All right, thanks for the call, Murph. Better analogy, I still go quarterback, because if you buy, instead of $1 million house, you just get the land and the materials and the labor, right? As long as you have somebody you trust to put that together, you're still getting a house.
Or buy a new car.
Or you could buy a new car.
Right, you still have a house.
Right, you just need somebody you trust to put it together, which goes to your point, Cerrone, which I'm also very big on, which is it's development.
Right, just like a house. It's all about who's fixing the house.
And if just to put myself in the Patriots' shoes, if if you don't, you knew you needed a quarterback, right? They knew they were going to trade Mac Jones. They knew going to the offseason they were going to need a new quarterback. If you don't trust the coaches to develop the guy you take, my question would be, why are these the coaches you hired? Not why did you take the guy? They should trust Van Pelt. They should trust T.C. McCartney as quarterback developers, and you got to go on that.
Yep.
So I'll take all the raw materials if I'm still getting a house out of it. You just need a good builder.
It's just you just took the words out of my mouth. People when they use house analogies, you can look all over Boston all you want. You can see an old raggedy house that's been sitting there for 40 years, and you bring in the right developers, and all of a sudden that's a $10 million house sitting on the corner, and you're like, oh my God, who did that? And they got this sign in the yard. Alex Van Pelt, this. I did the roof, I did the siding, I did the plumbing. This guy did this and flipped this amazing house. It's all about development inside and out. You can take any one of these guys, but if that coaching staff, now they have to do their jobs. If they do their jobs properly, they can take these quarterbacks and turn them into the quarterback you need to win. And as far as Minnesota, if the Patriots sit on quarterback, they're going to be better than Minnesota, even with Justin Jefferson. So, I mean, it's just they're a quarterback away from being a decent team, a playoff level team, and they just have to get it right, and they have to get the coaching part together.
617-779-0985. You want to join us for some draft talk? We do have a Sports Hub draft favorite returning on Monday. So I do want to talk a little bit about that. Get ready for that. We'll do that next here on the Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff.
And they have enough money to either fix their house up or buy a new car. The quarterback people want to go out and buy the new car to have in the driveway. Who cares if the house floods out or burns down? They got a new car in the driveway.
Stay tuned for more Sunday Kickoff on the the swing of the right leg. Every football game starts with a kickoff. This is Sunday Kickoff with Alex Barth and Cerrone Battle on your home for Patriots football. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Do you see what this is, Barth?
It's a blank whiteboard.
This is the new big board.
But it's a heavy-duty big board.
This
not
is
just
now,
to throw, but also to write on.
You look on the simulcast, you can see this. This is the Felger Maz big board this year. It's not just going to be me holding up a piece of cardboard. This is a full whiteboard. I got to be honest, I don't know how I feel about it.
Well, it's going to protect you from errant throws from people like me.
Well, that's the point.
I don't like it.
Isn't that part of the bit?
I don't like it.
Me potentially getting pelted?
Yes.
Yeah.
What kind of pop are you going to get out of it?
It's the best part of the Oh, we're going to get a great pop out of it. That thing's going to make... Yeah, this is the racket we're going to hear. Ready?
Yep, go.
Let's go.
You'll miss. Oh, that was good. That made a good noise.
That's more of a smack.
You see this, Barthy?
You see this, Barthy?
Yeah.
You go back and you look at your film.
That's our white bed sheet right there.
You go back and get naked and pleasure yourself on the YouTube clips. Okay? We're going to huck markers at this thing and have just as good a success rate as you. Just FYI. Oh, shove it up your ass, Alex Barth.
Ah, yes. Good ad, Ryan. That is the little teaser I put together. You can check that. It's up on YouTube, actually. The big board, the Felger Maz big board, returns on Monday. For the next 2 weeks, we are throwing 4 prospects every day on Felger and Maz. I'm looking forward to it. I've talked about, I get asked this a lot, like, hey, this is making fun of draft people. You're a draft person. Why do you like it so much? I'll tell you why. I actually think the big board, and maybe this defeats the purpose of the exercise for them, at its core is kind of how most fans should approach the draft. Like, I get asked this all the time. Oh, I want to follow the draft, but it's so daunting. There's so many players. I don't know where to start. To which I always tell people, just somewhere, anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Go to look up. There's all these websites that have the rankings, right? So I use mockdraftdatabase.com. You can use PFF, whatever, the Draft Network. Maybe there's a position, right? Like this year, it's obvious quarterback. And just look up the quarterbacks. Do like 1 or 2 quarterbacks a day. Read the scouting report. Turn on the highlights, whatever.
Yeah.
You don't do it for your job. You can just watch the highlights. You're fine. And get to know them a little bit. Read a profile on them. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe you have a favorite school. Maybe you went to a D1 school or something like that. Just look up the players from your school. Who from the schools in the draft this year? Start there. Maybe you look for the guys with the funniest names and you start there. Or maybe you just blindfold yourself and throw darts, which is what the big board is. It's all about, and the way I approach covering the draft. Oh, this guy was a great pick. This guy was a bad pick. Blah, blah, blah. Like, you can't, without the benefit of hindsight, which is a different kind of analysis, like in the moment, you can't know what's a good pick or a bad pick without knowing what the other options are. Right?
True.
If the Bears took Jaden Daniels first overall, Jaden Daniels is a really good player. But that's a bad pick because there's a better player on the board. But if you don't know who Caleb, and everybody knows who Caleb Williams is, but just for the point, if you don't know who Caleb Williams is, you don't know. So what I try to do is just inform people of as many players as possible. So when we get to draft night, hey, well, yeah, the Pats took this guy, but this guy was on the board. Or it was smart of the Patriots to take this guy here because of the way the board was playing out in this sense. So I love the big board because at its essence, that's how I started covering the draft. Just pick random players and learn about them. And that's what they do. Now, they make fun of the scouting reports, which I also enjoy because I think sometimes people get too brainy with the scouting reports. But that's the draft, baby. Just learn players. That's all it is.
It is. And I think because of you, we start with the team, because of where the team's positioned and because of you and guys like you, I think going into the draft this year, fans are going to recognize a lot of the names.
Yeah.
Simply because they've been following you. The team is in a position of need. So people are looking to draft experts, doing their homework. They're going watching these all 22 videos, whatever they're called on YouTube, of all these quarterbacks, all these receivers, all these left tackles. And when their names are getting called, fans are going to say, ooh, like I said, the Leonardo DiCaprio meme, they're going to be snapping at the TV like, ooh, that's the guy. Because they're doing their homework and they're watching all this stuff now.
Right.
And they're going to know more. Felger and Maz, they laugh and joke about it a lot. But because of where the Patriots are now, they're going to know a lot of these names because of this. They're going to look at the draft and say, oh, that's the guy I thought the Patriots were going to get. Oh, I know about that guy. I think the Jets got a good player there. I said the Jets too many times today. I think the Cardinals got a good guy there. We're going to know so much more about these players because the team sucks. And we've been doing our homework, and people have been on YouTube and reading all the magazines, on all the websites and all the stuff about these guys, and they know more. And this is what happens when you have a bad football team.
Now, whether or not I hit, that's the other question, right? And you heard Felger taunting me in that clip. Like, how many am I going to get right? I got 3 guys last year. I got Christian Gonzalez in terms of like mock drafts. Christian Gonzalez, Keon White, Pop Douglas. I think the board got 1 or 2. So I just want to get as many or more on the board. That's my goal. And I got one more mock draft left.
You hit 3 Patriot picks. That's good.
Yeah, I felt good about that. Good. I felt pretty good about that. That's the most
shove it up your ass, Alex.
Yeah,
Barth.
all right, exactly. Let's go to the phones here. Peter in Worcester. Peter.
Hey guys, great show.
Hey.
Real quick, I would go QB, and if all things equal, nobody drops for some reason. Tackle at the second round, 34, and the reason why is one. I mean, it seems to be it's much more likely to get a high play out of an offensive tackle right away versus a wide receiver. Is much more of a transition, it seems. 2, wide receiver ones are available every year, either in free agency via trade. And number 3, why you take the quarterback is simple. Name the last time you saw an elite quarterback go in free agency or via trade in their prime. It doesn't happen. So you got to take that swing.
Yeah, Peter, like 99% of that's spot on. That's stuff I've been yelling for months. The one thing I'd push back on is I think the receivers are more like the quarterbacks. They don't get to free agency. You got to trade for those guys. Mm-hmm. Well, they're not. Well, the quarterbacks don't even get traded. But like, I don't think you can plan on signing a receiver. I think you have to plan on trading for a top receiver. But that's doable. And yes, the whole thing where there was so much quarterback talent in the league in the late 2000s and early 2010s that we end up with an excess, essentially. And not just so much talent in the league at that point, but so many of these guys played for so long that you ended up with this excess of talent. Guys like Peyton Manning changing teams, Tom Brady obviously changing teams, Aaron Rodgers. I'd even go down to guys like Matt Ryan and Phillip Rivers, right?
Yeah.
And obviously they changed away at the end. Like I don't think you're necessarily going to see that again. I know we talked a little bit about Dak Prescott earlier, but again, I'd be surprised if he truly became available. If he does, it's probably because he had a bad season, and you need to worry about that.
That's the only way, yeah.
Same thing with Trevor Lawrence. So I think the whole idea of like plug in a veteran quarterback is tough because you're not going to get everybody points to Baker Mayfield, right? Look at Baker Mayfield. They fixed him. Because that's what you have to do. You're not going to get a guy that's proven as a free agent or in a trade. You're just not. It's not the way the NFL works. If a team has a proven quarterback, they're not moving on from him. So you got to try to find the guy that everybody else missed. Everybody points to Baker Mayfield. Like, could Justin Fields have been Baker Mayfield? Well, Baker Mayfield was throwing to Mike Evans and Chris Godwin and had Tristan Wirfs at left tackle.
Yeah. And how many teams did it take for Baker Mayfield to say,
right,
there he is. He's finally good.
If you have that kind of setup, like Minnesota, you could convince me more on going and planning around adding the veteran quarterback. They're now not going to do that. I don't think the Sam Darnold thing's real at all. But and I don't even think it's the best course of action for them, but like with them, I can kind of see it. They're more like Tampa was last year than the Patriots are.
Yeah, ready-made.
Right. The Patriots aren't close. You're not turning Justin Fields. If he comes to New England, I mean, it depends what they do in the draft. But like, he'd objectively have less here than he had in Chicago. That's not how you turn a guy around.
Yeah, I mean, it's and like you said, Baker Mayfield. It didn't look that great in Carolina. Didn't look that great in L.A. and didn't look that great in Cleveland. But like you said, you get a Hall of Fame wide receiver to your left and a really good one to a right, and those two have been together for so long. Yeah, you're gonna have a successful season. You see, Tom Brady went and got those guys. He statistically he was better than he was when he was here. Excuse me, but you got to have pieces in place for those type of guys. Like you said, if Dak Prescott comes available, it's because he popped an Achilles. He threw a bunch of interceptions. The team just fell off the wagon. But if the Dallas Cowboys have a decent season and Dak Prescott has a Pro Bowl caliber season again, they ain't letting him go. They can talk all the trash they want. Cowboys Nation can freak out. Dak ain't leaving because they all understand, too, how hard it is to get a Dak Prescott caliber quarterback. They trust me, they're fine with Dak Prescott. He might not look great to us, but no one's giving up 4,500-yard QBs like, we're just going to go get another one because they know it's impossible to do.
Well, look, so as I ask this, I can hear people yelling, but the playoffs. But if the Patriots draft a quarterback who produces like Dak Prescott, I think we'd all say they hit on the pick.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
Like, I would take Dak. I would absolutely, if you draft Dak Prescott, 3rd overall, again, we talked the Mac Jones, the Zach Wilsons, the Trey Lances of the world, right? If you draft Dak Prescott 3rd overall, you did pretty good. 36 touchdowns, 9 interceptions last year, threw for 4,500 yards. Now, you led the team to a 12-5 record. Are the playoff issues there? Yeah, absolutely. Although I think some of that is a Cowboys thing as much as it is anything else. The Mike McCarthy thing. But you can build around that. You can certainly build around that. So, yeah,
that's Pro Bowl, all-pro type stuff.
I think Dak, I was on with Felger and Maz a couple weeks ago, and they if the Patriots draft Jared Goff, would you consider that a success? I think that's probably the bottom of what I'd consider a success at 3rd overall, but I would consider that, you talked about earlier, got to one Super Bowl, almost got to another. You got to put pieces around him, but the plan shouldn't be to add a quarterback and then stop, whoever the quarterback is. We just saw what that looks like.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the Cowboys, to your point, I think the Cowboys know that. I don't think they're going to move off that guy.
Yeah, and you said a guy's getting hurt and then they get let go after that. The Kirk Cousins situation. I mean, he was on pace to probably lead the league in everything last year until he blew his Achilles after 5 or 6 games. Then all of a sudden they let him go. But then people are crazy. Cam Newton and all those guys are still crying about his contract. But the reality is, Kirk Cousins, he's a 4,000-yard, 30-touchdown QB, and has been for a decade consecutively. Those guys are valuable, and the only way you're going to get them is if they get hurt or something crazy happens like that. But they're just really hard to find. So if you draft a rookie quarterback that's giving you 4,000 yards, 30 touchdowns, completing 67% of his throws, you absolutely hit on that position. The Tom Brady thing is a whole nother level. But if you get that kind of quarterback, a Dak Prescott type guy, you won the draft. It's that simple.
617-779-0985. We got one segment left. We'll wrap it up here next on the Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff.
More Sunday Kickoff is on the way. more information, go to 985thesportshub.com/marathon. Alex Barth and Cerrone Battle are here, talking football every Sunday morning with the insiders and with you. It's Sunday Kickoff on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Wrapping it up here on the Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff. Again, we'll be back next week, 8 a.m., same time, same place. Alex Barth, Cerrone Battle, Ryan Beaton. One more story I want to touch on from the week. I just think it's cool. I don't know that there's a ton of meaning behind it, Cerrone, but we'll see what you think. According to Andrew Callahan, the Boston Herald, Drew Bledsoe was in Foxborough on Thursday visiting with the Patriots and Alex Van Pelt. They played together in Buffalo. They've maintained a friendship since. Drew getting back involved in the organization. Like, I grew up rooting for him. I was young enough where it was just like he was the quarterback of the Patriots. I thought that was cool. So I've always been a fan. So cool to see him back in the building, personally.
It is. And I tell people all the time, I watched them win that Super Bowl against the Rams in my Drew Bledsoe jersey. I was a fan. I had my jersey on. I couldn't believe it. And I went running down Bolson Street later that night in that jersey. Big Drew Bledsoe fan. And I think he's responsible for the image change of the Patriots. If I'm 45 years old, so I remember when people didn't want to use the Patriots in Tecmo Bowl, but when Drew Bledsoe and Curtis Martin and all those guys came around, they became a hot team that people kind of liked and were pretty cool. They didn't win it, but I think he changed the image of how people viewed the Patriots, and I'll always be a fan of Drew Bledsoe.
Same. So I don't think that he's going to end up having a coaching role or anything like that, but. I don't think having him around can hurt, and maybe he's just another voice for whatever young quarterback comes in, somebody who's been a top pick of this franchise, like you said, and kind of had to change the image here and weather that storm here. Now, it's a little different now, but I think maybe some value in that.
People don't remember the dark days, man.
Right. Any other Patriots observations from this week stand out to you?
No, man. I mean, it's about go time now.
Yep.
This is when the guys make the decisions that determine their futures and their fate, and that could help bring the organization back or keep them near the bottom. But I think there's the only way now to go is up. And something I've been saying for the longest, and I still believe, I don't think they're as far away as people really think they are. But this draft will go a long way in determining if I'm right or wrong or not.
And again, we'll be back next week. We'll do like a real – I wanted to kind of – save some of the real heavy pre-draft stuff for next week, because next week is our last show before the draft. So we'll get into some more mock draft stuff, some more immediate breakdowns. Maybe we get some more news before the show next week. But again, we'll be back next week, 8 o'clock, same time, same place. If you missed any of this show, you can find it wherever you get your podcast. Sports Hub Sunday Kickoff, 98.5thesportshub.com. Also on YouTube, the full show's up there. We stream it live now on YouTube, and so you can go find that stream after the point. Ryan's going to put some segments up there as well. All right, we got Tim McCone coming up next. He'll take you up to the Celtics-Wizards matchup, final Celtics game of the regular season. What feels like, Cerrone, the longest preseason in the history of the NBA finally comes to an end today. I can't wait for that. We'll be back. I'll talk to you guys this week, part of the big board. Cerrone, when you on again?
On next Saturday.
All right, Cerrone, we'll talk to you next Saturday and then Sunday. Talk to you guys next time. Enjoy the day, everybody. Enjoy the marathon on Monday. Bye.
From the Town Fair Tire Studio, the home of the Bruins, Patriots, Revs, and Celtics.
Come on, Maxey, step back. Three is good.
Boston's home for sports is 98.5, the Sports Hub, the Beasley Media Group station. Sports Hub headlines.
The Bruins, they scored 4 times in the second period last night. That helped them knock off the Pittsburgh Penguins 6-4. Multi-point games for Charlie Coyle, David Pastrnak, and Pavel Zacha. 28 saves by Linus Ullmark as they jump back into first place in the Atlantic Division. The Red Sox snapped a 4-game losing streak yesterday afternoon, beating the Angels 7-2. The Sox and Angels wrap up their series today at Fenway Park at 1:30. Brian Bayo will be on the mound. Celtics in action today as well. They take on the Washington Wizards in their regular season finale. Already ruled out for this game: Jaylen Brown, Drew Holiday, Al Horford, Kristaps Porzingis, Jason Tatum, and Derek White. Coverage of that one begins at 12:30 on the BetMGM 98.5, the Sports Hub Celtics Radio Network. The New England Revolution lost 2-0 to NYFC last night. The New England Free Jacks beat the Houston SaberCats 47-35. And at the Masters final day of the 2024 tournament, heading into play today, Scotty Scheffler sits alone atop the leaderboard at 7 under, but there's a pack behind him. Colin Morikawa at 6 under, Max Homa at 5 under, Ludwig Aberg at 4 under, and Bryson DeChambeau, thanks to a late birdie yesterday, at 3 under.